Imagine the water simply stops. Rivers dry up, lakes evaporate. Within a matter of days, the systems keeping human civilization alive collapse as we rely entirely on a constant, uninterrupted flow of water. Yet in a region where 95% of the landscape is uninhabitable desert, a single waterway has defied those odds. For 10,000 years, one river has continuously supplied the water necessary to keep humanity alive in the middle of a wasteland. And it behaves strangely. Early Roman explorers were completely baffled by its direction. High elevation points in the south drive the water's momentum northward, pushing it toward the sea. 2.5 millennia ago, the historian Herodotus observed this dynamic and wrote that Egypt is the gift of the Nile. The entire Egyptian empire exists exclusively because of this geographic anomaly. Between June and September, intense rains pound the mountainous highlands of Ethiopia. This massive volume of water channels into the river, pushing a surge downstream that reliably floods the adjacent valleys. When those floodwaters eventually pull back, they leave behind a thick layer of deep black mud. The ancient Egyptians called this kemet. It was dense with nutrients, allowing farmers to cultivate immense yields of wheat and barley in soil that should have been dust. To survive, early societies had to predict exactly when that water would arrive. That necessity drove them to invent the calendar. Measuring the crop yields required them to develop mathematics, while distributing the water efficiently forced the development of early civil engineering. The society's reliance on this cycle was absolute. They worshipped the river as a deity named Hapi, and pharaohs derived their political power by declaring themselves the divine guardians of the flood. The river also provided the heavy logistics. Ali engineers harnessed the sheer force and buoyancy of the water to transport millions of tons of limestone over vast distances. The blocks used to construct the Great Pyramids at Giza were loaded onto boats and floated downriver. The Nile functioned as a total biological, mathematical, and logistical engine, the physical blueprint that designed an entire civilization. For centuries, finding exactly where this water came from was a geographic obsession. Modern exploration eventually revealed two distinct arteries. The first is the White Nile, which originates in Lake Victoria, Uganda. But the real driving force is the Blue Nile in Ethiopia. It supplies 85% of the total water volume, carrying the rich silt that feeds the downstream plains. Down in the water itself, the environment is intensely hostile. This is the domain of the Nile crocodile. Growing up to 6 meters long and weighing over 1,000 kilograms, it possesses the strongest bite force of any animal on Earth. It is so lethal that the ancients worshipped it as the god Sobek. Sharing these muddy banks is the hippopotamus, Africa's most dangerous large mammal. Despite their size, they can swim at speeds of 30 kilometers per hour and are fiercely territorial, routinely capsizing boats that enter their space. This waterway is a violent, hyper-competitive biological arena. Humanity has managed to coexist with these predators for millennia, fighting for space in the same water to survive. Now, that 10,000-year balance is breaking. Rising global temperatures are rapidly melting the frost and ice reserves high in the Ethiopian mountains. In the short term, this accelerated melt pushes an excess of water into the system. Downstream communities face erratic, devastating floods that wash away infrastructure and drown crops. This chart shows the projected water flow volume approaching the year 2050. As those high-altitude ice reserves completely disappear, the river is projected to experience a 50% drop in total water volume. The geographical machine that sustained human life through predictable cycles is fracturing. Faced with a dying system, modern governments have turned to massive engineering projects to physically control whatever water is left. The first major attempt to command the river's flow occurred in the 1970s. Egypt constructed the Aswan High Dam, a massive concrete barrier designed to hold back the annual floods. Initially, it was a triumph. The dam generated 40% of Egypt's electricity, while finally giving the government the power to stockpile water and protect millions from lethal droughts. But the engineering came with a hydrological price. the concrete barrier trapped the nutrient-rich silt that had fed the farmlands for millennia, pooling it all into an enormous artificial reservoir called Lake Nasser. Starved of natural fertilization, downstream farmers now rely on chemical alternatives, and without new layers of sediment depositing at the river's mouth, the land is eroding. The vast agricultural delta in the north is actively sinking, slowly being consumed by the rising Mediterranean Sea. By engineering absolute safety from seasonal droughts, humanity inadvertently severed the river's ability to naturally regenerate the soil. Today, an even larger crisis is unfolding upstream. Ethiopia is currently constructing the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, a gargantuan structure built directly across the Blue Nile. For Ethiopia, this is a matter of national development. Once fully operational, the dam will generate over 6,000 megawatts of power, providing electricity to millions and accelerating their economy. Downstream in Egypt, that exact same concrete structure is viewed as an existential threat. 100 million citizens rely entirely on an uninterrupted flow of that water to survive. This choke point has created a severe geopolitical standoff. The tension has drawn neighboring Sudan into the dispute, with nations exchanging threats of direct military action over who controls the reservoir. It is a stark contrast to the river's deep history. The very banks that once hosted the Treaty of Kadesh, the world's first recorded peace agreement, are now a volatile powder keg. We can use engineering to borrow power from the environment, but the moment we permanently disrupt a natural cycle, the very civilizations built upon those waters begin to fall apart.